Hi everyone. In today's session, now we are going to look at AP Invoice account coding workflow. Let's try to understand the concept first. In payables, we create the AP invoice and we enter the distributions to it. Then we validate the invoice, we approve it, and then we post the accounting entries to general ledger. Let's take a scenario where payable invoices are entered by an operator who is working as an operator in the company, and he won't be entering the distributions. And we want accounting distributions to be entered by accountants. So this invoice creation is going to be a two-step process, and two different people with different job levels are going to be working on it. One will be creating the invoice and other needs to enter the distributions for it. If that is the scenario of an organization or a specific business unit, then we need to customize the invoice account coding workflow. So this is how scenario will be. Operators enter invoices without distributions, then they will save the invoice and this applies a distribution hold on the invoice. Later, if we enable invoice account coding workflow for that business unit, then those invoices will be routed to the accountants. To whom they needs to be routed, we will be defining in the approval groups. And the accountants then will enter the invoices, distributions to those invoices, and they complete the task. Then they will then even operators can come back and validate the invoice and holds will be released and they can be approved and then paid. The important notes are multiple assignees or accountants can enter the distributions. It's not that single accountant needs to be. In the approval group, multiple accountants can do that. Last user in the workflow must ensure completeness of the distributions. It means, let's say, if the invoice is created for $1,000 and if there are three accountants in the approval flow, like one can enter 200, another can enter 300, then the remaining 500 amount, the last accountant in the approval flow must enter the 500. Yeah, so let's now, as we understand the concept or scenario, now we will go and see what are the setups that we need to do, and then let's do those setups and then we will execute one flow, how it works. For our simple understanding purpose and even to review it later, I have noted down the setups here. First, we should go to manage invoice options task and we should enable the invoice account coding workflow checkbox. This we need to do at business unit level as invoice options are specific to the business unit. After we enable that, then we should navigate to manage task configurations for financials and we'll be creating a new approval group. This approval group will consist of list of approvers who needs to approvers or we can call it accountants who need to enter the distributions for a given invoice. And then we need to update fin invoice account coding task in the BPM task list, and we should customize this such that it takes our approval group that we are creating and it goes through those approvers or those accountants to enter the distributions. After we do these two tasks, these three tasks, we'll create the invoice and we won't enter the distributions and we will save it, and we will initiate the invoice account coding workflow from actions tab of the invoice. This will initiate the workflows to the approvers that we have created in the approver group. Then we will log into the instance with that user. And then we will enter the distributions and we will complete that invoice. And then we will come back as a preparer, right, our operator who created the invoice. And we will complete this workflow and then we will approve the invoice and account it. So these are the steps that we are going to do. So let's start doing those. The first one is we need to enable invoice account coding workflow at a business unit level. So I'm going to set up and maintenance. Manage invoice options. We are doing this for US1 business unit, and this is the checkbox, enable invoice account coding workflow. So I have already enabled the checkbox. Then we'll move to the next action. The next action is manage task configurations for financials. Manage task configurations for financials. Go to task. Here you can see the tabs task configuration, approval groups. So let's create one approval group. We can click on this plus symbol. We will give a name, save, and we will enter the members. Save. Approval group saved successfully. So this is how we create a approval group. But I have already created an approval group. So let us search that and see. It's the same thing, but let me show you that. Click on go. SM1 approval coding, right? This is the approval group I have created. It has only one user. To keep it simple, I have created with only one operator or we can call it accountant who needs to enter the distributions for the invoice. I kept only one user to keep the demonstration simple, and it's already saved. So now we have completed this task, create new approval group. The next activity is the update Fin invoice account coding task. Here, navigate to task configuration, type Fin invoice account, click on go. Fin AP invoice account coding. Double click on this task. It is opening. It is still loading, seems taking a long time. So let us continue with the next steps, right? And we'll come back once it loads here. So the next steps is we'll create an invoice and we won't enter the distributions to it. I'm creating an invoice under US1 business unit for which we have done the setups. So I'm entering the lines. I'm not giving any distribution set, neither distribution combination, right? I'm just saving it. Validate. Amount changed to 985.50. Let's update that. Validate the invoice. So if we go and see, there is a line variance. Let us fix that first. 985.50. Yeah, that should be fine. Line variance got resolved. The main observation, if you see, account coding. This is a new field which we, if account coding workflow is not enabled at BU level, this field we won't be seeing. As this is checked at BU level, now for the invoice we are seeing account coding required. This will come up only provided if you don't enter the distributions. Let's say for the same invoice, we can enter a distribution combination, and if we save it, then account coding will be there, but it won't be the required, it will be complete. So that it won't go to any approvals if we enter the distribution. If we don't enter it, then it will say it is required. And there will be holes applied at the distribution level as there are no distributions. So the next action is we are going to initiate the account coding. Account coding workflow, we are initiating it now. If we see the status now, it says account coding initiated. Let us save and close this invoice. Now in the approval group, we entered John.Abbott as an accountant who enters the distributions. I'm going to a different window and I have logged in as John Abbott, and I'm going to notifications. The one that we didn't come here yet. Let me. The invoice that we created is 8015, right? Account is initiated. Account coding is initiated. If we go back and refresh here, let me log out and log in. Yeah, now we can see a new notification. It says account coding for invoice 8015 from supplier Staples for amount 985.50. This is the invoice that we created. Click on it. Actions. Edit distributions. And if you scroll down under distribution section, click on plus symbol to create a distribution. We are going to create the distribution for 900 amount. Let us select some distribution account. Okay, save and close. Now I'm going to complete it as we have entered the distributions. Let us go to the other user and let us requery the invoice. If we see the status, accounting coding needs review. So the other user, or we call it accountant, he has entered the distributions. So the status is needs review. It is asking us to review the distributions. The distributions that we entered there, they are showing up here. Let us see that. Click on distributions. Yes, the account that we entered is showing up here. Amount is showing up. So we see the distributions are fine. Let us go to account coding. I think no need to. Let's just validate the invoice. Now invoice got validated. If we go to all the holes got released and account coding status changed to complete. Now let's approve the invoice. Yeah, I think it doesn't need approval. Let us post to general ledger. The accounting completed successfully. So we have done the other activities. We have completed the invoice account workflow, approved the invoice and accounted it successfully. The only step that we couldn't see is update finance invoice account coding task. Let us go and see if it is came up. It is still. Let me try to reopen it.